So today I have for you, this is a A1706 MacBook Pro. I think this information holds true for all the current MacBook lineup. So people have a hard time opening these things, it seems. There's multiple clips holding everything on. So you got these clips here that slide into right behind the fan here to hold the whole back edge tight up against here. And then you got these little spring clips. You got stands here and little spring clips that mount up with them. So when you unscrew this, the back case, it's still very tightly held onto there. And we have a problem with people using pry tools in the side of the case to get it open. So here I'm putting it back, so the bottom's on, and then I'm going to click these into place. And then there's usually a couple clicks in the center. They went in. So this is it on here. After the screws are taken out, it's still pretty tight on here. You can't. It doesn't just come off. You can't just slide it off. It doesn't just pop off. It won't fall off if I turn it upside down. So what people do a lot of the times is they'll take a screwdriver, some larger. I don't have a flathead here, but they'll take some larger screwdriver and they stick it in along the edge here and pry it up. And in doing so, they harm the logic board very often. Just about every time somebody sticks a screwdriver in one of these, they harm the logic board. So what you should do is either, we have a big suction cup that helps a lot of people to get these things open. I don't need a suction cup. I have some fingernails, a little bit of fingernails. I don't chew them off. So I just get my fingernails underneath here. All you need is about 2 or 3 fingers worth, and that's enough strength to pull and pop it open, both sides. And then you pull it straight up. This is a weird maneuver. Most of the time you cut your knuckles for the first couple times doing this, but you have to pull that way on the case while still holding the computer, or push the computer back that way, hold it so it doesn't move. So it's weird to get your fingers on here and then your fingers on here, try to hold it all, hold the computer back while pulling up on the case, and then it slides forward. This is usually the hard part, but people always stick a screwdriver into here and damage the logic board. So the logic board sits right here, and right where the clip is right here. So people can feel that, I guess. You can feel that there's a resistance here, and the computer doesn't want to pop open there. So they take a screwdriver and they'll shove it in here and pop it open. And in doing so, a lot of times they hit the logic board and rip things off the logic board, which you'll see in a moment. That's what I'm repairing, is that this and these 2 chips on either side here are sensor chips. This is what reads the sensors on the board, translates the data, and brings it back to, I think it's the SMC. Possibly the PCH? No, it probably all goes back to the SMC. So this one was popped off. A couple other things were popped off too here with a screwdriver that went in, and probably once the thing pops off, it loosens up, so your screwdriver just goes all the way in, rips things right off the board. So when you get liquid on your computer, the best thing you could do for it is disconnect the battery. So to disconnect the battery on this, you got to take the back case off. You have to follow a procedure. You have to follow instructions on taking the back case off, or else you're going to cause more damage than anything you would have helped anyway. Because this machine actually does not have any liquid damage on it. No, it's already verified working, it boots, everything's fine. It just has high fans because of the missing sensor chip. So the keyboard or the trackpad, the keyboard may have sustained some liquid damage on it. We haven't got as far enough to test that because of the sensor issue. It boots really slow because of the sensor issue. So this may have just been disconnect the battery, let it dry out, and you would have been good. So that this is where, like, the whole myth about putting your computer in rice comes from, is that if you got the thing wet and no damage occurred, all you have to do is wait for it to dry out and it'll turn back on. That's the whole thing about putting in rice. You just dry it as fast as you can. Most of the time that doesn't work because you have some kind of damage. Rice is not going to fix your damage. But disconnecting your battery from your logic board will prevent that damage. But you can't cause more damage on the way in. You have to be careful with that. So this is a pain in the ass job. This is going to take a while. Let's take a look at this. So here's what we have to fix here. So the first thing we need to do here is try to fix some of these traces back. Just try to straighten this out a little bit. I'm going to trim this short. I don't want it to go all the way where it is. I want both of them to end pretty much the same spot. So these are data lines. With data lines, you have to worry about length of each one. You might get an imbalance in data. So you want to try to keep both of them the same length as possible. Try to press that back into the area it was. This one doesn't really matter. I'm just going to take off all the stuff that's coming up. That's a power wire. So I'll just go all the way back to the where it is. There, it's gone. Okay, so let me open up the schematic and board view for this. It's Mr. Rossman at the store today. He is actually streaming right now. I don't know where he is. Yeah, Chicago, somebody said. What happened to this MacBook is somebody opened it with a pry tool, some kind of screwdriver, and it went in too far when the back case popped open, so they ripped off a kind of important chip. So now we have to rebuild it. So let's see here. Let's bring up the schematic and board view. Ooh, it worked. And my cursor's off as usual. Today I finally found the courage to reflow the RAM of a 1369. Yeah, that always happens. Did it work? I mean, you said you fixed it, I guess, so yeah. That's all they need. That'll last you another couple years probably. It's a decent machine, except the RAM always cracks. So let's see here. We are up in this corner, but I have it upside down. So let me flip the board around. So now we are in this corner. This is the way we're seeing it right now. So this is what we have to fix here. So that's just power, so that's nice and easy. We have data. That's just a signal. We have 2 ground pads. Signal, data. Okay, so this one's the only difficult one here. This one goes to just a nub in the board. We have to solder to a nub in the board. So this one here that you see the flag floating at, don't pay no mind to that cursor floating in the middle of nowhere. This flag here, this pin 4, I'll show you what that looks like in the microscope. That is this one right here. So all we have to go to is just that little nub. Let's see where it actually ends up. Let's go back to the schematic and board view. Where does this go to? Nowhere near us. Oh, it's underneath the board. Yeah, I don't like running. Yeah, I don't like running a wire around the edge of the board. So that's our last chance. If we can't get to the nub, if the nub falls off the board or something, then we'll have to come around to the other side of the board and run a wire around here, and then coat it in green. We'll take from here and then run it around the board right here. But hopefully we don't have to do that. We could just solder to the nub that's left from when the pad got ripped off. The ground we could take from right here. We don't have to solder to the ground nubs. We could just take ground from this right here. But yeah, this is just work. This is really, you have to be really steady, really detail oriented with the work. They even took a chunk out of the edge of the board too with their screwdriver. And then slid right across here, took this, took that. This is not very important. And I think, did they take that? No, I think they stopped before. Because Anel was working on this before this. That doesn't look like it's been soldered. So, yeah, they took just these two. This is just a filtering cap for, was it 1v2 or? Yeah, 1v2 SSD. So if we find a place to put it, we could put another one here just to make sure it filters good, but I don't think we really need it. There's plenty of other caps on that line. So let's have at it. First thing we need to do is just expose a little bit of copper on all of these pads. So I need some pad here. Need something to solder to everywhere. So to try to there's two ways of doing this. You can try to rebuild the pads. You try to put new pads in these spaces and put a new chip right down on it. That's difficult. If what I'm doing is difficult, then that's just insane. So I'm going to be doing it what I find the easier way. Some people might find building the pads easier, but I find this easier. So we have all of our pads to solder to. I'm going to glue this down before I start soldering to it because it just seems too delicate the way it is. So I'll put some solder mask over that and get a Q-tip with some alcohol over it first. Now when you're dealing with pulled traces, always make sure you rub your Q-tip in the direction of the trace. If I go backwards on this, it'll rip that trace right off the board. Okay, that looks good. You get a little bit of solder mask on a dental tool. And I'll just dot some solder mask on this. And I'll take a near UV laser pointer. Hold this down while I'm doing it. And shine a near UV laser pointer on that. Sorry it's out of focus, but I'm pushing down on the board. So there you go, that's going to hold that in place at least. It doesn't look pretty, I'll clean it all up before we close up. I re-scrape off the end, I got a little bit of solder mask on the end. There, now that's not moving, so that's good. Let's get a new chip. I have another board here to reclaim a chip from. So let's move this out of the way for now. Let's get this chip off of here. So pin 1 up here, going to that resistor, that's the incoming power is pin 1. A little bit of flux, just the right amount of flux. What is the repair estimate of a MacBook, what is that, fountain, liquid damage? It's hard to tell. If it's the logic board, it's 425. If you need a new keyboard, it depends on the model. It's anywhere from 120 to 250 for a keyboard, depending on the model. It's hard to just estimate liquid damage off of nothing. You have to see what was damaged, where was the liquid poured on it. some MacBooks commit complete suicide and they will never work again just because of a little bit of liquid if you get it on the display connector. So that's what we're working with. That's what it should look like right now. But unfortunately, that's not what we have to work with. We have this to work with. So that's where that chip's supposed to be. So what I'm going to do is clean it off, get the little corner of flux off of that. And we are going to glue it to the board upside down right here. I get that flux out of there too. Is that flux? It's not coming off, okay. So I'm going to glue it right like that, and then we're just going to run all the wires to it in reverse order, but top to bottom the same. Let's see, do I have pin 1 up here? This is pin 1, right there where the dot is. So then it's going to get glued right there, and this, pin 1, this, pin 2, this, pin 3, and that, pin 4. I think that's the way they went. It might go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me get some crazy glue. Retro Bear bumper stickers, that sounds good. Those pads are very oxidized. They may be wherever they are, because those aren't pads. You're seeing right through to the board layers. Those pads are gone. So yeah, the pads are just fine, because wherever they are, they're fully intact. They're just not here. Okay, let's bring in some crazy glue. This is probably going to be too much. Let me use the dental tool. I will pick up some crazy glue from the tip of the crazy glue. Like so. There you go. I have a little drop of crazy glue on here. I could put it on the bottom of my chip. And place the chip right there. Oop, moved a little too much. There you go. A little bit of hot breath on there and it'll cure it. Crazy glue cures with moisture. A little bit of hot breath, there you go. Good. The names of my turtles. The oldest one, you got Big Girl, because she's just the biggest, so we ran out of creativity for her. Then we got Neggy, she's the negative turtle. You got Grinch, she's just a complete and total Grinch. And you got Shrimp, and he's the smallest of all of them. He's the male. Male red-eared sliders tend to be smaller than the females. So he's the little shrimp. How do you desolder crazy glue down the road? Exactly how they originally did this damage. Just chip it off with a screwdriver. I don't really have that much of problems with crazy glue staying there. Have a nice snack on your next stop. That'd be cool. Need a coffee. Haven't had a coffee yet today. I'll probably need a shot of something stronger than coffee when I'm done with this. Yeah, usually when you're only touching this chip with a micro pencil and doing quick solderings of it, the crazy glue doesn't degrade underneath it. It stays okay. I haven't had a problem with crazy glue with this. Okay, a little bit of flux there. Let's get a little bit on the top of the chip. And let's have at it. First I'm going to tin all the pads that I made. Do you have a Tim Hortons in NYC? We used to. I knew of one. There was one in... Oop, I need fume extraction. There was one in Penn Station. It closed down. That whole little section in Penn Station closed down. They used to have a KFC and a Taco Bell, Tim Hortons, and something else. And it was a nice little area, but they closed it down and ripped everything out. Okay, the nub is going to be the worst. That's going to be tough. Let's add some leaded solder to all of these. One of these is unconnected. This one here, we don't need to worry about that. Okay, that looks good. Let's start with the farthest, I guess? Yeah. We'll go from here to here. We'll go from there to there, there to there, and there. Okay. Lewis wants to call. I wonder what he's going about. Okay. Get that there. Now we shape it. Straight down, straight over. I'll go farther out. All the way down here, straight over. I'm just going to solder it straight to this. Screw that pad. I'll cut that off and green it when I'm done. This seems more convenient. Just solder it right here. Why are you beeping? Okay, apparently this micro tip just went dead. That's fine with me. It wasn't working that well. Let's see. Of all things to go dead, the micro tip, right when I'm doing all of this. Nope. Okay, I need to go get a new tip. One moment. Where are the pads at? Those pads are in good condition. Wherever that chip is, that's where those pads at. And they're perfectly intact. They're wonderful pads. They're just not here. So yeah, my micro tip is dead. So it's still hot though, so we gotta take it out with some tweezers. Don't touch it. You can touch the end, the plastic end. So I got a new one here. And when you put it in, it heats up right away, so don't keep your fingers on it. Is it the handpiece? Oh, that's working. And I'll try this tip in my handpiece and see if it comes back to life. I doubt it though. These have not been lasting as long as they used to. Okay, you didn't see where the first one went. There's the first one. So I didn't go all the way over to that pad because it's just more convenient to keep it down over here. This is only power that's going to it. Now next, got to tin the end of the wire a little bit, burn away the insulation, and we can connect it there. And reshape it. Do you remember the soldering irons without any power supply? Took ages to heat up, no thermal control. I remember them well because that is what they issued us in the Marine Corps. That was my only means of soldering. They gave us, like, you know, echelon maintenance stuff to do, where we had to do mods on radios and radio sets and control sets. Oh my god, the Angra 39, the ANGRA 39. That thing was the bane of my existence for my Marine Corps career. And we had to modify them because they came up with modifications. They were ridiculously old, but still worked beautifully when they worked. And yeah, that's the only soldering iron they gave us, was the Weller one that just plugs into the wall, and that's it. So I don't want to go there and back, so I'm going to modify these pads too. So here, this one's going to the next farthest. So I'm just going to scrape a pad right there, and the next one I'll scrape a pad right there. Okay. I'll zoom in here, see what I'm doing. Oh, I got sick of the Weller. I didn't even use the Weller. I brought my own soldering iron. But my own soldering iron was still crap compared to the stuff that we have today. I had an Ungar soldering iron with a pack, the adjustable temperature and all that, power supply pack. It was light years ahead of that non-controllable Weller, but like this HAKKO is light years ahead of that Ungar. I still have that Ungar, it still works, but the tips are massive. It's only good for doing larger stuff through hole. You can't do this with it. In Russia, many use them. Pure copper tip, yes. That was the thing that I loved about that Ungar. It just had a pure copper tip that screwed onto the end of the iron. And that thing melted solder great. It always took solder. It never deplated. It can't deplate, but it does use the tip. The tip does get used up. It gets shorter over time. Okay, that looks good there. I could go straight to the cap, but I don't want to go under the power wire. Rather keep everything parallel to each other. I don't know if Steve called Lewis. I think Hi was taking care of whatever was going on over there. I didn't call him. The stream assistant Hi is in the building today. But he didn't really know what was going on. Trying to get a hold of Steve. I don't know. pads are optional. God help us if pads are optional. Cut that a little close to the next trace. Get that out of there. Closer in. Oh, wrong one. There you go. It's kind of hard to see through the flux, but I could see that my one wire is just a little bit too close to that trace. There you go. Cut off that little excess. That's better clearance. Okay, I'm gonna save the nub one for last. Let's go to the other side now. Should I do the ground first? Nah, screw it. Ground could go on top of everything else. Let's just start the same way, with the farthest one first. It's really hard wire to deal with, it's so tiny. It's connected to a spool, but if I let go, it's boing, gone. Gotta find it. Straighter than that. There you go. Okay, you're coming straight over to here. Next. Oop. Let go. Oh. I don't care what you look like, just connect. There you go. Now I could get a better grip on the wire, and we'll move it. And I just connected the other one, that's fine. We'll fix that. Straighten that out. Reconnect, and we'll reconnect. Oh, I didn't disconnect it, I just elongated it. Just get that flat again. Okay, the last ones to connect are the two ground, or I'm sorry, not the last ones. Last one's on this side anyway. Two ground pads, so we're just gonna go straight from this pad to this pad and to that ruined capacitor pad back there. Go right to this. This is ground right here for this capacitor, so I'll just go right in there. I don't know if the micro pencil is going to heat this up. Let's try. No, micro pencil ain't having it. I need the full size for this one. And bring that more in focus. There you go. That's much better. There you go. Ground's connected. Now we just have that one nub to work with. This is one of my specialties, is trying to get to a nub. I would rather work with soldering to the nub than running a wire halfway across the board or something. Lewis definitely loves running a wire halfway across the board over trying to get to the nub, but I'd rather get to the nub. So that's the nub we want, is right there. So somehow I want to get a wire to stick to that. I'd have to turn my board around because the chip's kind of in the way. Okay, we already got some solder sticking to it. That's good. We got some solder sticking to our wire. That's good. Let's just see if we can get them to stick to each other. Holding the wire too far away, and see it comes up, it's attached to the soldering iron. So I need to get some tweezers in here and hold the wire closer. Now I got the wire in tweezers and I'm holding much closer. I still got to get closer. I have to get the wire completely immobilized right there. There you go. It's connected, but that's a bad connection. That just came right off. Let's get it in the direction we want first. And get down in there. There we go. It's not such a great connection. The weight of the wire's just twisting it right off. Wire's running away from me. There you go. Still weak. You know what? Maybe I should go the opposite direction with this. I should have the. Oh, ooh, no. Oh man, that felt good for a second. That feels okay. I probably should go the other direction. I should connect it to this first. So then I can even add some hot air to it. Okay, hopefully I don't break it off. Running this around. That probably just broke off. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to connect it to the chip first. Let's get it up here on the chip. It's about the length I need. So let's just solder this first. Okay. Okay. On the chip first. Cut this off. Now let's shape it into place, get it to stay there, and then we can solder to the nub. And if I need to, I can bring some hot air on it. Hot air leaves more solder in place, so I get like a good solder ball going over that nub and get a better connection. And then we'll be encasing this entire thing into hot glue, so... which I did not start heating up the glue gun. I should have heated up the glue gun. Let me turn this around. I'm going to turn the whole board around so I have the iron facing the right direction. Connect it. That is connected. Let me take some stress out of the wire by bending it a little bit. Now I'm going to come in with some hot air. See what pops up. Just want to get some of the points down on things. Smooth everything over. There you go. That looks good. So now I'm going to go dunk this in the ultrasonic cleaner, get off all the flux, and I'll go grab the hot glue gun. So I will be right back. I'll leave an empty tray stream behind me. What was that? Cheers. Thank you. I'm back. Got the hot glue gun ready. Plug this in. Oh. Okay, I'll take a minute to warm up. Let's take a look at what this looks like. I missed one. What was that? Somebody said cheers. About my car's extended warranty. I get them to hang up on me all the time. They ask me what year, make, and model, and I just tell them my oldest car. I got a 1989 Ford Bronco, and they just immediately hang up on me. Because I guess my warranty's too expired. They won't honor of 98 or 89 Ford Bronco. Being incredibly rude to them too will sometimes get you off of their list. Either wasting time will get you off the list. Being incredibly rude will get you off the list. Either that or I go the route of telling them I'm from Microsoft and there's something wrong with your Windows computer. You need to connect to us through TeamViewer. Download TeamViewer at teamviewer.com. That usually shuts up all telemarketers. You just start doing that, and they'll ban your number from their list. You won't get any more calls. Hey, there's Hi.
Hello, this is John from the extended warranty department. How can I help you?
He's the one doing it. He's the one calling for your car's extended warranty. It's him. It's him. Okay, there's our, what we call a dead bug. There's a good second for a thumbnail. So now let's just do a real detailed inspection of all this. I'll get as close as I can. Look at all the different connections, make sure everything looks good, solid. Okay, I want to delete these two data lines. I don't want data lines with open ends like that. Ooh, it's going way out of focus. And I didn't clean off. Ah, damn it. I had flux on the tip of my knife. I just put flux into this. Can I clean that? Yes, alright. So yeah, I don't want data to have open ends. So let's get that in focus with me pushing down on the board. I want to cut these two data traces right off where I connected them. I don't want them going any farther than that. Okay. Okay, the power trace I'm just going to cut off right there. Just don't want the pad that I created there anymore. Gone. Okay, is our nub still connected? Check on our nub. Looks like it's connected. Touch, touch. That is connected. Let's see if I can gently brush away some of this solder mask I left. Ooh, don't want to get something caught under that nub and rip that nub out. Okay, that's good enough. Everything's connected. Everything looks good. Everything's routed neatly. Okay, time to seal it. Oop. Yep, hot glue is hot. Ask me how I know. No, don't. And I'm cleaning hot glue spider webs in one moment. All right. It seems so delicate. It is rather delicate. That's very, very small wire. It's smaller than most human hairs. So that's why we are going to completely encase it. Now I put some hot glue on top of it, and now I'm using hot air to melt in the hot glue and spread it around to where I want it. control the hot glue with the hot air. Make sure I cover everything over. I want it to come over this way a little bit more, so I'll get my dental tool and I'll just pick it over this way a little bit. There we go. Keep some hot air on it. There you go. That'll cool down nicely. That'll get a little bit more opaque. And that'll protect that beautifully. I don't know if it would protect it from another screwdriver coming in after it. So just, you know, don't open your MacBook with a screwdriver. And this will be fine. So, most important thing, don't open your MacBook with a screwdriver. I should go over that again, since it was only at the beginning and nobody was watching then. So, yeah, let's go over that again. Let me show you what caused this, how this happened. I don't need fume extraction anymore. Overhead cam. So this is a MacBook. This is a MacBook on a desk. Any questions? It's too old for everybody to know. That's where your logic board sits in your MacBook. Right here is the chip we just worked on, right here. So there's clips for the back cover of your MacBook. There's two little standoffs right here that clip to some spring clips in the back of your case. These two little spring clips. They're little forks. You can see them shining right there. They're metal forks that clip onto there. And then you have these things down here. These are little teeth that shove themselves into the fan, the vents right here. So let me put this back on. So you got to push it down there and then slide it back towards me. And it clips in there. And then that connects those two. So this is how you get a MacBook. This is once you take the screws off. So when you get liquid damage on your MacBook, when you get liquid on your MacBook, on any electronics, the best thing you could possibly do is remove the battery. Remove the power, remove the battery, and just let it dry. Usually just water does not damage electronics. Electronics can handle just water. Water with the electricity running through it is when you get the corrosion. So just water on a MacBook with no battery in it, it'll be just fine. Things might rust, but as long as you dry it as fast as you can, you minimize all that. So the best thing you could do is open up the MacBook. You need the Pentalobe 4, some manufacturers are calling it Pentalobe 5. You need the screwdriver, the special Apple screwdriver to take the screws out. And then what some people like to do is take a giant screwdriver and they'll lift up the edge of the case here, and that clip that's right about here, they'll feel that it isn't releasing. So they'll take a screwdriver and shove it in here, and when that clip finally pops, the screwdriver just shoots in. And that's when they nick the logic board and take that chip off. Every time they take that chip off. What you should do is we either have a giant suction cup for the people that chew their fingernails to crap and don't have any fingernails. I don't do that. I have some fingernails. So all I need to do is go in this vent right here with 2 or 3 fingers and pull it back. Here a clip, it's unclipped. Do the same thing on this side. Just need some fingernails under there. Clip, done. Now the trickier part than that's the part that catches people up and people destroy the board with a screwdriver. I think this is the trickier part. These clips that are down here, you need to force the bottom that way. You need to keep the bottom up by about 1/4 inch, and you need to force it that way while pushing the computer back towards you. weird hand configuration you can do with this. Guaranteed, the first couple times you do this, you're going to lose skin on your knuckles. But you get this weird hand configuration. Pull up on it while pushing down. There you go. Disconnect it. And we didn't use any tool. We didn't shove any tool in here around the clip. We didn't hurt the logic board at all. It would be perfect. So that's how you need to open these things. Don't use tools when you have a sensitive logic board in there. Because right there, that's that chip. There's another one, same exact chip right there. But this should be good. We already know that it's booting. We didn't test for full functionality, so we don't know if the keyboard's fully good yet. We do know the trackpad is at least good. I don't know if all the keys are working on the keyboard. We know it boots. We know it sees its hard drive, boots into its OS. The only thing that was a problem is that chip is for the sensors. When a computer, or when MacBooks, I don't know if all computers do this, when MacBooks lose communication with some of the sensors, they assume the worst. The fans go up to full speed, and the processor is throttled down to its lowest clock setting. So then it can't overheat because it doesn't know what some temperature is. It assumes that temperature is burning. That's why I can't contact it anymore, and I'm just going to slow everything down and speed up the fans to try to cool everything down. So it takes forever for it to boot. The fans are screaming the entire time. Once you finally get into the OS, everything's ridiculously